Reactivity can be really hard for both the dog and the guardian. During my sessions with Louie, I thought of 6 things that I feel you need to know if you're working on reactivity with your dog. 3 of these are going to be practical tips to make your training more effective, and the other 3 are mindset shifts to hopefully make the training less stressful for both you and your dog. Let's jump in. The first thing I want you to know is that reactivity progress isn't going to be linear. When most people first start training reactivity, they think that their progress is going to look like this. People assume that with each session, progress will increase and it'll be a pretty smooth trend towards an unreactive dog. I can almost promise you that your progress is not going to look like that. Instead, it's going to look something like this. You will have great moments where you're seeing progress, and then life will throw you a curveball, your dog will have a huge reaction, and you'll question if any of this was working. I want to reassure you that this is normal. During my first 2 weeks with Louie, it felt like I was making steady progress with him. His reactivity to men and small animals was going great, and he was slowly getting better with dogs at a distance too. Then during one of our walks, we were rushed by an off-leash dog in an on-leash area. I handled it as best as I could by scattering treats to occupy the dog while we left, but I could tell that it rattled Louie, who already had fear-based reactivity. The next time that he saw a dog, he was the most reactive that he had been in 3 weeks. It would have been really easy to feel dejected by all of that, but instead, I want to show you that graph again. There will be bad moments that come up, but I want you to focus on the overall trend. Progress won't be linear, but that doesn't mean that there hasn't been progress. It should be expected that when you're training in the real world, there's going to be lousy days. I want you to remember, though, where you started and how far you've come. Jagged lines can still get you where you want to go. The second thing that I want you to know during reactivity training is that you shouldn't underestimate the importance of treat value. I have a clip that I want to show you to demonstrate this.
So this intersection is usually really hard for him. I want to show you. Hey, Louie. 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 Hey, bud. Louie. Yes. So the way I handle that, Louie, come here. Lou. We'll ditch these treats.
I want you to pay attention to the change in his focus when he realizes what I have.
Bud, what's this?
As you can see, there was a night and day shift in focus. If you're struggling with training, I strongly encourage you to use something incredibly high value, such as ground beef, for behavioral modification. I want to be clear that I'm not saying that you're forever going to need to bring ground beef out on walks. My own dog hasn't got ground beef for leash training in like 7 years. However, if you're working on behavior modification or a really hard skill, bringing something incredibly high value can work wonders. The third thing that you should know for reactivity training is that paying attention to you on walks is a skill that you need to teach. Many people feel that their dog should automatically pay attention to them and check in on walks, but it's actually a skill that you need to develop. Think of it like this. If you were watching TV, would you be looking at the person next to you, or would your focus be on the screen because that's more stimulating? When dogs are out on walks, the sights, sounds, and smells are highly stimulating for them. If you want to be noticed during all of that, you have to train that skill. One of the things I strongly recommended on a past Louie video is rewarding every voluntary check-in for at least a few weeks. This is a great way of reinforcing your dog for paying attention to you on walks. However, how do you train them to pay attention to you or come back to you in the first place? One of my favorite training exercises for this is really simple. Have a longer leash on your dog, drop a treat on the ground for them to sniff and find, and run to the end of the leash while they're finding it. The first few reps, you'll likely need to call your dog to you. Mark and reward when they follow you, then drop another treat and repeat. Very quickly, your dog will start to automatically follow you after finding the treat without you needing to call them. This exercise is an easy way to train your dog to reorientate back to you after something of interest. There were a few moments during our 4 weeks of training where Louis went over threshold, but since we'd done this exercise many times, he was great at following me away from the trigger even after a reactive event. The fourth thing that I want you to know when training a reactive dog is that they're brilliant at detecting patterns. If you're working on reactivity, you've likely heard how important it is to move off the path if a dog is coming so that you can work at a distance that doesn't push them over a threshold. This is good advice and something that I personally recommend. However, if you only move off the path when the trigger is present, your dog is going to figure out that pattern pretty quickly. What you'll notice is that your dog will start scanning the environment with mild stress before they've even spotted their trigger. The analogy that I like to give is that if you're scared of spiders and you know that this one's going to jump out at you, the suspense of waiting for that would be a stressor before the jump even occurs. Did you feel slight anticipation waiting for that spider to jump? This is exactly the on-edge feeling that our dog might experience when we leave a path. If we aren't careful, we can accidentally condition that as a warning sign to start scanning the environment. The simple way to remedy this is to practice lots of repetitions of randomly moving off the path and waiting when there is nothing that will trigger your dog. By doing so, you break that association that moving off the path means anything. By lowering your dog's anticipation and stress, you'll get better results out of the actual training exercise. The fifth thing that I want you to know when training a reactive dog is that corrections aren't necessary. Most of the advice that you'll see online will encourage you to punish your dog for their reactivity. They'll suggest putting your dog into a stressful situation that they aren't capable of handling so that you can correct them with leash pops, choke chains, shock collars, or prong collars. I'm asking you to do the opposite because corrections aren't required to address reactivity, and most of the time it's just going to make it worse. I've worked with many reactive dogs and I haven't used corrections on any of them to achieve results. This doesn't make me special, it simply means that I'm properly utilizing learning theory in a humane way and that you can too. The reason all professional organizations recommend avoiding positive punishment for reactivity is that it's unnecessary and it also has the potential of leading to fallout such as increased aggression. Quite commonly, reactivity is a fear-based response. Reactivity is a dog's way of indicating that they can't handle the level of stimulus presented. Rather than pushing our dogs even harder and punishing them when they struggle, why don't we instead teach them how to handle that stimulus at a level that they can tolerate and then progressively increase it? We can utilize reinforcement such as dog treats to build positive associations to the things that our dogs are scared of, while at the same time reinforcing the behavior that we want to see, which is calmness around their trigger. You may feel enticed by these so-called miraculous one-day transformations that you see online that use heavy corrections, but I want you to think about this from a different perspective. What level of stress, pain, or discomfort would be required to make you stop reacting to your fears? If you were punished that severely, would your fear truly be fixed, or would your displays of fear just temporarily be suppressed? Heavy punishment doesn't solve the real issue behind our dog's behavior, it just suppresses it. Our dogs don't deserve punishment for having struggles. Reactivity, when properly addressed, isn't just a light switch that you turn on and off. You might be able to punish your dog severely enough that they stop reacting, but at what cost? You won't just be turning off the outward reactivity, you'll be turning off the inner light in your dog and shaping how they see the world. Your dog deserves compassion and kindness when they're struggling, not corrections. And lastly, I want you to remember when working on reactivity that feelings are normal. There's a popular saying that goes, your dog isn't giving you a hard time, they're having a hard time. It's important to keep in mind that reactivity isn't something that your dog is doing to you. It's something that they're experiencing and struggling with. I'm really glad to see online that there's an increased level of reminders about being compassionate to our dogs, but I think sometimes the human gets lost in that. If your dog does get triggered and reacts, it's completely normal for that to bring up huge feelings in you. Embarrassment, frustration, sadness, and even anger. These are all completely normal feelings to be having. As adults, it is our responsibility to act in a certain way despite having big feelings, but I don't want you to feel guilty for having them in the first place. It's really important that we give ourselves compassion too. Reactivity is hard on both the dog and the human. It's completely normal and okay if you struggle sometimes too. Please remember that. If you want to watch the series of training videos featuring Louie, I'll link that here. Next week, I'm going to be sharing a tutorial video for how I addressed Louie's jumping before we move back into more reactivity content. Happy training! I'll see you next week.